The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 859. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is the founder of Silicon Valley Natural Health, and I'm really excited to have her on today to share her story and tips on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Julie Tran. Julie, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
I'm doing great. Fabulous. Thanks for having me on, Sheena. I am Dr. Julie Tran, founder of Silicon Valley Natural Health. I am a naturopathic doctor and licensed acupuncturist. So I basically combine a lot of holistic medicine with Eastern medicine philosophy to give the outcome for my patients for whatever their health goal is or health concern is.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Julie, what's your cultural background?
Well, I identify as Vietnamese American. So both my parents are Vietnamese, so I guess you would say I'm 100% Vietnamese, but sometimes, I don't know if you ever heard the term banana, right? Yellow on the outside, but white on the inside. Because I'm the first child born to my parents after they immigrated to the country, that I identify more as Vietnamese American, right? Because I embrace some of the American philosophy, I guess, or Western philosophy of not necessarily everything has to be about the family name, right, the family reputation and what we Asians call saving face, right? But more of like, yeah, this is my individual dream. This is my individual pursuit. And this is what I want to do. And it may not be what mom and dad wanted me to do, but at least it's there. So, but I do appreciate my heritage and traditions because, Vietnamese food is delicious. Celebrations are great and fabulous. So I would say Vietnamese American.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I love that you mentioned that because, growing up in the Western world, whether in Canada and the US, we always seem to have this, this tug of war between being too Asian or being too Western, instead of, infusing both, right? I know there's certain traditions that we follow and, certain standards that we have to live by, and that can tear us down, right? Especially for Asian women, right? We're always taught to do and live one way of life, and most of the time is to get married, have babies, and never rock the boat. But really, we can actually go out there and create our own path, right? Become a trailblazer like you. So I'm really glad you were able to share that. And Julie, what's your favorite self-confidence quote?
I have a few, but the best one I come up with is "Faith it till you make it." So most people know it's, some people say it's "fake it till you make it," but I think it's "faith it till you make it" because I believe that you have to believe in yourself, have faith in yourself, right? And once you do that and you just kind of have faith that whatever you want to do, the leaps and bounds that you want to take, you want to start a new business, you want to go back to school, I don't know, you decide you want to become a winemaker, whatever it is, right? You just have to have faith that this is what your calling is going to be. This is what right, this little voice inside of you said, this is what I want to do right now. This is the passion I want to follow, and just go for it until you realize, oh yeah, this is where I need to be, right? Somewhere along the way, you just know that that's it.
I love that quote, especially when you changed it from fake it to faith it, because when it comes to confidence, it really does start with having faith, having that belief in ourselves that we can go out there and make it. Sometimes we have to see the outcome first in our head, and then just figure things out along the way on how to make it happen, right? But if you don't have that belief to start with, you're not going to go out there and take action. You're not going to go out there and overcome your fears or have the courage to knock on people's doors, right? Create the opportunities for yourself. Especially, growing up as an Asian woman, we're always told to be in the background. So to even put ourselves in front of an audience can be nerve-wracking because we've known one way of living all our life. So I really love that quote that you created. I think it's great. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Basically, going to do what you want to do without fear. It is just going for it. And yes, you may have some doubts and stuff, but go for it anyway. Right? That is self-confidence and being true to who you are. If this is, you decide, what? I just want to be a nomad and roam the earth and just do odd jobs here and there because that's what makes me happy. Go do it. Be true to who you are. Listen to that voice that says, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll become a grave digger for some reason. You like digging in the dirt. I have no idea. Whatever it is, or you decide, I'm going to be a skydiver. Go for it, right? Just be true to who you are, to your passions, or even if you don't know what your passions are, try everything. Try everything for a little bit and see if that's what you want. And you can discover, no, I don't like that. And it's okay if you can discover what you don't like, because it just gives you more definition and more evolution of who you are as a person, what your personality is, what your likes or dislikes are.
I love that definition. And it's so true. Sometimes we got to try everything out to figure out what we like and what we don't like, right? It's that stage of learning what we can tolerate and not tolerate, learning to know more about ourselves, to love ourselves, to be in our own company. And that takes work on our part because, it's not always easy to be doing things by yourself or being in your space with just you, having that me time, spending your own company can get awkward at times. But when you can learn to do the work and be there for yourself, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Right. And then you have to just realize that, some people are like, wow, why do you keep changing jobs every couple of years, right? Like when you keep hopping from one thing to another, don't listen to them. Do what you want to do. My husband will tell you, like I'll say, I see people playing the hand drum type thing. And I'm like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And he's like, really? Or like, oh, maybe I want to learn how to play the flute. Just random things, right? But, okay, so just try it. And if you don't like it, move on. Give it a good go and move on. But just do whatever comes in your flight of fancy.
That is so true. So I love that you mentioned that and love the definition that you shared. And Julie, what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
It wasn't a very great thing. It was more, a little lonely, a little sad, just kind of going by the day, just like putting on the face of, okay, I'll do that. Kind of, like you said, being in the background and other things. And it was interesting that you mentioned that because I remember in high school, I had this one teacher, Colonel Raffanelli. He was part of the JROTC program for like the Army at our school. And when we would walk to do something, right, he'd be like, why are you walking behind me? He's like, I hate it, right? And, Asian would just walk with me, not behind me. Right? I was like, I never really thought about it at that time. I was like, oh. And I think that's just true to what you were saying before, like as Asian women in the background, not doing things, right? And just staying in the back while everyone else is forward. So for me, and it was always the idea that I didn't fit the mold of the stereotypical Asian women, right? Because, most women in our culture, whether you're Vietnamese, Japanese, Korean, any Asian, they're considered more petite, right? You have to have that fair white skin and be more quiet and things like that. And so I wasn't like that, right? Because I'm a curvier woman, right? And I've kind of always been that way. And so it's kind of more of the a lonely existence, especially when you have sisters who fit that, right? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's never easy when you can't fit the mold that your society puts you in, right? Like not every Asian person's a size 0. Not all of us has fair skin. Not all of us has a long nose or long eyelashes. Every single person is different, but it's our differences that really make us who we are, right? Authentically, beautifully ourselves. And it's important to have that diversity so we can, eliminate the monoliths that our Asian community faces, because it's these, monoliths that really is the reason why we're targeted in Asian hate crimes, right? Especially for women, because all Asian women are seen as quiet, submissive, and obedient, which really hurts us in the end. And then because of that, we don't advance in leadership roles. So it's just, it's important to create different diversities within our own cultures. And, what was that point in your life where you realized you were more than enough to go out there, especially, trailblazing your way, creating your own company, becoming, a successful holistic doctor? What was that aha moment?
My aha moment was actually, I remember it distinctly, my cousin, who she meant well, right? She just wants everyone to succeed, but she basically told me that in order to be successful, I had to be thin, and that she knew that I was a thin person inside because my fingers were long and thin and not like stubby, like most, like if you're a bigger person. So some people have bigger hands, but they're stubbier and I guess wider, right? So that means that they're, I guess, more genetically prone to be bigger. I have no idea, right? But that was her reasoning. And at that moment, I really felt really like sad and disempowered and all this other stuff. I was like, you're my cousin, you're my family, and you're telling me this? And then I realized, you know what? I don't care what you think, right? I think it was just this culmination of throughout my life about that. And so I was like, nope, you don't have this power over me. I am going to do things my way, no matter what it is. And I'm just going to have the confidence to go for it. Like, have no fear, just do it, and then just figure out the outcome later, right? It's kind of like when they say, oh, it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission, right? So just go do it, and then let's see what happens. Either you succeed or you don't. And it's like Thomas Edison, right? He figured out a different way have so many different ways not to do the light bulb, but yeah, it was just that aha moment of, yeah, I don't, you don't get to do that to me, right? And so now that's what I do in my practice is I empower my patients to go for what they need, right? And I just help them along the way with that. But that was my aha moment.
I love that. And I love that you took your power back. Sometimes the most hurtful things we hear is from our friends and family, right? And I know they mean well, but it's still hurtful at the same time. They're like, well, why are you doing that? Why would you make a fool of yourself? Why would you tarnish the family name? And it's sad that we're always seen as this one thing and not many things, right? Like you have to have a job to be successful, or you have to be a certain size to be successful, or you need to have a certain hair length to be successful, when really there's no boundaries. It's really, success is really about what makes you happy and how you want to live your life. Like you said, if they want to be a nomad, a skydiver, whatever it may be, as long as it makes you happy, right? And you're not hurting anybody, then that's great. And that's what success should really be, being able to live life on your own terms. Because, we have a short time here on earth. And, if we're constantly trying to please others, trying to fit the mold of somebody else, we're going to be stuck and feeling trapped within our own bodies and our own selves. And that's not the way to live. And so because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
Oh, it's been fabulous. I mean, of course, we all have our ups and downs, right? And things like that. But it's been great because now you just go for everything. I just kind of look at things with fresh eyes and go, oh, instead of me, going, oh, that's kind of sucky or whatever. It's like, what's the opportunity here? There's great promise. There's great potential in everything. So you might as well just go for it and see what happens. So I haven't looked back since. It's been wonderful. I have a happier disposition. I think my perspective on things is like, oh, okay. Is that my truth? Right? And I always go, is that my truth? That could be your truth, but that's not my truth. And we can still, it's kind of like agree to disagree on things, and that's fine. And we can still get along, but as long as I'm living my truth and like you said, my joy, my happiness, that's all that matters. And I believe that when you are in your joy, when you are in your passion and your truth, other people see that and get inspired by that, right? And it can just rub off and be kind of like this illuminating light for everyone else out there who is just kind of stuck. And like what you said, you become stuck, you feel resentment, right? But I think you also feel anger, right? Because you feel trapped. What are you going to do to get out of this? And I think that's the thing, that it's okay. Get out of it. Because I think we get locked into our own story sometimes, right? And our own make-believe of this is what's the reality and when it really isn't. And so when we can actually realize and stand in our truth, it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, I totally love that. And, I'm glad you're able to live life, as you, right? Authentically you, and being able to live your own truth. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I would say surround yourself with people who hold a bigger vision for you than you do, right? Because they hold you accountable. They will be the people to call you out on your crap and say, no, that's not true. X, Y, and Z, and they can kind of ground you in a sense, but always surround yourself with people. Don't surround yourself with naysayers. They don't do anything for you. Why? Right? They just suck your energy. So that's the thing. And it may be a painful path. It may be a turbulent one, but it's going to be worth it in the end.
I love that. That's some great tips that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles they can connect with?
Absolutely. They can go to my website, svnaturalhealth.com. It's also the same for Instagram and Facebook. And I do offer a free 15-minute consultation for any questions, concerns they may have. They want a second opinion about something, are curious about Chinese medicine for the acupuncture part, are curious about how holistic integrative medicine can help them or give them more options in whatever it is their health goal is.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Julie, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Julie's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I just really want to thank Julie today for taking the time to share her journey and story with us. And I'm so excited that you were here today, Julie. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shana. I love your podcast and things like that. If you haven't tuned in, tune in. Listen to all the other episodes because they're fabulous and great.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.